is that they are taking so many children from parents. There was a story in the mainstream media a few days ago where they were saying we're going to run out of foster parents because we're having record numbers of children taken from their families. Now, what this is, of course, linking into what we're talking about today, it's all part of the process of removing influence and power of parents on their children's lives and handing it to the state.
And now they're saying...
stepping stone to what Aldous Huxley was talking about.
And China's the model of the one-child policy. Many of their children are raised in government dormitories where they work half the time in factories, and they're now saying they want year-round school, 12 months out of the year, and they want children to stay at school till 9, 10 at night. That's to get the test scores up. When the more funding they have, the dumber they get. It's all by design. And I have the government textbooks that are given to CPS workers where they call the family a disease and part of an archaic age. Now, what do we do? I mean, looking at the current phases, why are they now coming out and admitting we want to put lithium in your water? We want to give you shots to make you feel good. We're going to put viruses in your brain that make you submit. I mean, they've gone from denying this to now coming out and really taking the gloves off.
Well, I think they have, in one level, there are many levels to this, but I think in many ways they have a time scale problem. You know, I've been talking and writing about this for the best part of 20 years, and I know a lot of people might think it's far out and all the rest of it, but the evidence is pointing that way all the time. And that is this. The first book I ever wrote after I woke up to all this 20 years ago, I called it Truth Vibrations, because I understood that there was an energetic change coming. And what we live in is a cosmic version of the wireless internet. You know, this reality is information, and we are decoding through the body computer vibrational waveform information into electrical information, into digital information, and then finally into holographic information, which is the physical world that we apparently is outside of us, but actually only exists in our head, just as the internet only exists inside the computer as it decodes it. And we're going now through an epoch change in the cycle, the natural cycle of this reality, which in Asia they call yugas, and all around the ancient world they talked about the cycular nature of time, where we go through different epochs of different periods of experience. Some are suppressed and limited, and some have are periods of great expansion, which the ancients used to call the Golden Age epoch or the Golden Age Yuga. And we're now at this epoch change where this new energy, I call it truth vibrations, this new information epoch is coming in, which is about expansion. It's about opening your minds. It's about opening to a much greater range of perception. And what's happening, it's no accident, Alex, that it's at this point that this control system, which has been in place for a long, long time, is throwing everything, including the kitchen sink and the plug, at humanity, because it is trying to destabilize the body computer's receiver transmission system electromagnetically, through all the electromagnetic soup that we live in and the microwaves and all the rest of it, and through chemically, through what they put in water, what they put in food, what they put in vaccines. So it's like basically putting a virus into a computer. This computer in front of me has a massive virus in it. It's not going to decode the World Wide Web collective reality in a way it would if the virus wasn't there. And that's what they're doing, because this new information epoch carries information that is going to absolutely give us a totally different view of the world, reality, and self. We're going into an incredible period.
And by the way, David,
expansion, and they're trying to stop us connecting with that.
You're absolutely right, because in their own words, they say there's a massive awakening and that they've got to suppress it. And that's why they want to bankrupt society, so we're dependent on the state, so they can force all these controls on us. But from your research, you believe they're going to fail.
I think they're going to fail, yes, for the simple reason that there's going to come a point where this new energy, this new information, that's what it is. It's like the wireless internet suddenly starts to morph into a different information construct. And of course, what's the computer going to do? It's going to suddenly manifest a different reality on the screen, because it's now decoding a different information construct. That's what's happening. but isn't. And what it's doing now, like I say, it's throwing everything it can. I mean, it's a bit like a duck, mate, where it looks calm on the surface, and in the control system's way, it looks arrogant, but actually it's paddling like crazy under the water because people are waking up. I mean, look, 20 years ago, what? I mean, one of the things that I learned about this information epoch change was 20 years ago, it was going to bring to the surface all that had been hidden from us. Now, look, mate, 20 years ago, no evidence. 10 years ago, a bit more maybe, but look at it now.
Stay there. Big enemy of the free internet died, but we're sad for him. Ted Stevens confirmed dead in a plane crash. The senator still shrouded in reports of corruption. David, you got cut off by the break. You were saying 20 years ago, hardly anybody was awake and the evidence wasn't prolific. 10 years ago, some info was out there, but now it's racing. And I talked to police. 5 years ago, Austin cops would walk by when they saw me at the mall or on the street and would make jokes at me. Now they come over scared and say, we appreciate you. We know it's all true. What do we do? And I talk to other police in other cities. I talk to military. They say the awakening is incredible. And, of course, that's the enforcer's power structure. So continue with the awakening you're seeing and what the controllers are going to do. Not just chemicals and biologicals, but wars, depressions, scares. I mean, going into this big time of change, how are they going to try to suppress this global awakening?
Well, I'm having the same experience with, people in the system who are seeing it. What putting this information out has done, it's broken the compartmentalization of the pyramids, because the pyramid structures within this control system keep people in the dark of what they're actually part of. They're working in government or the military or the police, and they're doing their job and going home, but they don't know how their contribution every day connects to this contribution and that contribution to create a very, very sinister national and international pattern. But putting this information out, as people like us have been doing over the years, has actually broken that compartmentalization, because people have been able to start seeing within the system actually how their contribution does pan out with others, what is actually happening. And that's a massive Rubicon cross, that is, where people who are administering and law enforcing the system into everyday life start to realize the implications of what they're doing for their own children and grandchildren. So that's another massive step forward in this awakening. But see, what we've got is the different levels of the body computer. We've got the chemical level. At one level, it's a chemical organism. So they hit the chemical balance through additives in food, additives in water, and vaccines and all the rest of it. Then we've got an electromagnetic balance, and they're trying to hit that with all this electromagnetic pollution that even mainstream media are talking about, this soup or fog that we live in now with all this technology and microwaves. But there's another thing. When we feel emotion and our mental and emotional state, that fundamentally affects our vibrational state, because at one level we're vibrating energy. That's what we are, information. And so if you can get people into a state of fear, this is one of the key reasons. There are many reasons for it, but this is one of the key reasons that society has been structured to create as much fear, as much stress, as much worry, as much anxiety as possible about, oh, what about the future? What about the rent? What about my job? Oh, what about the war? All this stuff. What about the kids? Because when we go into those low vibrational states, it closes us down so that we're not able to access an expanded awareness, an expanded perception.
So they're flooding
when we're in a high vibrational state. It's all to do with frequency.
So they're flooding all of our inputs, and they admit we're an electrochemical computer, and they now admit they're trying to perfect our brain and want to fix the defects by hitting us with viruses that literally destroy the neuroreceptors. This appears to be their checkmate. And again, as I mentioned, I have the Pentagon documents. We've covered them here, where they have plans to spray cities with this as a biological and chemical commutative. How do we respond to their ultimate checkmate?
Well, this may sound trite, but I don't really care, because I feel it's absolutely true. We are being bombarded, Alex, on all these different levels of being for one simple reason. We are extraordinary expressions of genius. We are extraordinary expressions of consciousness. And what they've got to do is to attack us on all these levels. I mean, this is...
They're scared of us. We're powerful. We're made in the image of the Creator, and they know it.
Well, this is an analogy that I've used a few times. If you... want to put a ball in an unnatural state in a tank of water, i.e., you want it on the bottom of the tank, then you have to hold it there. You can't put it there and then take your hand away because, boom, it's back to its natural state, floating on the top. Our natural state is of expanded consciousness that we would call genius and able to create what we would perceive from this reality as miraculous things. What we are has been suppressed. We are not manifesting who we really are. We're manifesting a subordinated, suppressed version of what we are. This is how the control system controls us. And so when we open our minds, open our consciousness, understand it's a mental, emotional thing. If you understand and know that you are not David Icke, you are not Alex Jones, you are not Ethel Smith, that is your experience. You are infinite, eternal consciousness.
Now, going back to David Icke, his website's davidicke.com. He's going to be speaking in 5 days in South Africa. He's coming to the United States in October. David, tell us about some of the other places you're going to be speaking in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's exploding, which is all part of this awakening. I'm going to go to Prague. I'm going to go to New York, Times Square in October, and San Francisco, Amsterdam, Ukraine, Barcelona, Lisbon, Portugal. I'm going to Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm coming to LA next year. And so it's amazing what's happening. I mean, I couldn't fill a phone box 15 years ago. And so, this awakening is not a myth. It's happening all over the world. And this is what's putting the control system into panic mode.
Well, I agree with you. They are going into panic mode. Now, specifically, though, you talked about fear. And if they can keep you in fear, you'll go into a catatonic, learned helplessness state. I've seen the psychological studies the governments and corporations are obsessed with. But these particular vaccines that they call cognitive enhancers, they want to give school kids, the troops. They're pushing it like, oh, it's the great new toy coming out in a few months, but you can't get it yet. They're really hyping it with hundreds of these new things that are coming online. They say they want to stop fear and anxiety, but the way I read it is it's going to block regular steroids interacting in the brain, which show aggression or resistance or determination. So for me, when I say fear, I get fearful, so I take action. But I guess that really isn't fear. That's resistance. And so if they want us to be in fear, why then would they come out with vaccines that just completely block it, where you're an emotionless jellyfish? I guess that's the next stage?
Well, that's the next stage, exactly, because, once you've got a drug control of the body, then suddenly you're doing it in a different way. You're fundamentally destabilizing the body in another way, as opposed to the fear itself. See, what the body is, it's an information blueprint. Think the green codes in the Matrix movie. It's an information blueprint. Now, when that blueprint is in its prime state, we are healthy, we think sharply, we are functioning perfectly.
We're creative, we're decisive, we're beautiful, we're in tune with the universe.
And we can see through what we can't see when we're in a closed state. Now, what we need to do, I would suggest, is see everything as information if we're going to understand what's going on here, because this is how deeper in the rabbit hole. So when someone puts a virus or whatever into a body, it's information. The virus is information. It's introducing rogue, distorting information that